Hello, everyone, and welcome to Root and Rise. Of course, my name is Erica, and I thank you so much for tuning in with me today. As promised, I have another amazing video for you. Actually, this is my very first video entitled No Foundation Equals a Sinkhole Waiting to Happen. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. So, just kind of a recap. In my first video, I pretty much introduced Root and Rise and basically kind of explained, the types of things that we'll be discussing. And I did mention, that I was going to be following up with this particular video today. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So first things first, the title itself, No Foundation Equals a Sinkhole Waiting to Happen. So when you think about a foundation, what typically comes to mind? I know that for most of us, it's typically something steady, something, strong enough to hold weight, something, of course, that you can build on, right? So let's think about major cities. Let's think about cities like Orlando, Dallas, big cities in New York. They have these tall skyscrapers, right? And so you ever wonder how those buildings are able to stand for so long? Like, they look unshakable. They look as if nothing could ever happen to them. So it's not the glass windows, it's not the shiny lights, it is the foundation. The deeper, the deeper and sturdier, the structure, the more weight the foundation can hold. Okay. The foundation has to be sturdy. It has to be strong enough to hold what is being built upon it. Okay. So if the foundation itself is not strong enough, what ultimately happens? It will eventually give way, correct? Building that foundation, however, does not happen overnight. It literally takes time. It takes detail, precision, understanding of, what's required to support and what's coming next, that sort of thing. Now imagine this. If a building that size did not have a stable foundation, it might look strong for a while, but eventually that building will collapse. And for those of us here in Florida, we know sinkholes are very real. One moment, everything looks fine. The next moment, the ground gives way because the foundation was never secure. So that's pretty much the exact same thing with life. And that's exactly what Root and Rise is really all about. Without healing at the root, which is your core, your center, your compass, everything that you try to build will eventually fall into a sinkhole. Okay. So today we are going to explore the importance of having a sturdy foundation. Not just in buildings, but in ourselves. Because if your foundation isn't secure, everything that you try to build on top of it, whether it be your relationships, your goals, your peace, your success, it will eventually collapse. So also, more importantly, we will talk about what it really takes to build on that foundation without falling into a sinkhole. So when we think about our personal foundation, it actually starts before we even realize it. Just like it takes about 9 months for some of us for the blueprint of our life to first take form. Over time, we begin evolving through different stages. Every interaction, every feeling, every emotion, reaction, success, loss, all of it contributes to the layout of our foundation, everything. So, of course, by the time, we reach adulthood, the foundation has already been tested, and for some of us, it is strong and sturdy and able to carry weight. But for many of us, it's unstable. It's filled with cracks. It's weakened by neglect, by pain, by unhealed experiences. And when life starts to add more weight, relationships, responsibilities, expectations, that foundation either sustains it or it will start to break or crack under pressure. So, healing at the root, however, means going back to the places where the cracks first formed. Now, this is the part of the video where I'm going to ask for you to please tune in. Please pay attention as much as possible, because a lot of us tend to, or have in life, brushed past this part. And this is the most important component when it comes to healing. Okay. Those cracks first formed at some point. It may have stemmed from childhood wounds, abandonment, neglect, trauma, identity struggles. It's very, very, very uncomfortable work. It's necessary, however, because when we address those roots, that is when and only when we are able to repair the foundation. So once that foundation is steady, everything else we build can rise higher and, of course, last longer. Okay. Now, the truth is, just like with any foundation, life brings storms that are designed to shake us, storms that are designed to move us or even destroy us. But a strong foundation will never collapse under pressure. It will not succumb to outside forces. That is why the real work begins from within. It begins from within us. We have the power. We hold the key to that. Storms will come, of course, but your root, your core, your center determines whether you rise or whether you fall. That's very important. Okay, so now the question is what this really looks like. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get into exactly what it looks like, how to fix it. Okay, so how do you repair a cracked foundation? Let's get into it. I have some steps for you that, we can go over. And the first thing is awareness. Very first thing is awareness. Like, you literally have to be self-aware of your triggers. You have to know that there is something within you that needs to be repaired. You have to be willing to undergo what it takes to fully heal and fully correct and fix your foundation. So you can't see it though. You can't fix what you don't see. So for example, maybe when someone raises their voice at you, you shut down, because deep down inside, that child in you who grew up in a home meant danger, when you're being yelled at. That's a crack that shows up in adulthood. The most important part in all of this is to ask yourself, where did this start? At what point in my life did this trigger or this wound show up? Oftentimes, our wounds show up the most in childhood, because when you think about a child, their development stages. A child is very impressionable from a very young age. So it's very easy to pick up certain things. It's very easy to develop into a certain image. It's easy to be persuaded, and it's very easy to go into the type of mindset to where you literally doubt yourself, or you feel like you're not good enough, or you feel like if you don't do enough of this, you're not going to get this in return, or this person is going to leave you, or you go through that and you learn it as a child. You learn it very, very, very early on. And that's why it's important to heal from the inside out first. Okay. So I want to talk about the people pleaser. Um, this may have been a child who only felt loved when they behaved perfectly. This in turn translates into an adult who sacrifices themselves just to keep the peace. And that wound did not start in the boardroom. It didn't start in their marriage. It started right there in that child's kitchen, in their childhood kitchen. The next one is replacing of the lies. Okay. Every crack usually carries a false belief, believe it or not. The child who was abandoned might grow up believing, I must not be worth staying for. The child who was constantly compared may grow into an adult believing, I'll never measure up. Repairing basically means replacing those lies with truth. Saying instead, I am worthy of love that stays. I am enough as I am. Okay? Because you are. Don't let anyone ever convince you otherwise, because you are. So, I said all of that to say that this journey is not something that you can just brush over. It's not something that is easy. It's not a one-time thing and it's like, oh, well, it's done. It's over with now. I'm healed. No. Healing is a lifetime. Okay. Healing is daily work. Imagine someone who was told you're not smart enough as a kid. They grew up second guessing themselves at every job. Repair looks like this. This is what I had to learn myself. Journaling daily, writing down how you feel, writing down your thoughts, writing down what made you feel angry in that moment, what made you doubt yourself in that moment, and how you overcame that. Daily affirmations. You can find positive affirmations just about everywhere now, and that's a beautiful tool to have access to. Celebrating the small wins. Let's just be clear. Small victories are just as important, if not more important, than the bigger wins. Especially if a person grew up not being celebrated. So you taking the time to celebrate your victories, absolutely necessary. Always do that. So basically with that, some other things that could possibly help is even enrolling into a course. But oftentimes you have the person that, second guess themselves constantly. They would do something like that just to prove to themselves that their old story was a lie. The crack is still there. It's just basically pouring fresh concrete over the crack. It's not fixing it. It's not repairing it. It's not healing the crack. It's just basically putting a Band-Aid over it. And that's not the goal. That's not the intention. We have to heal that crack and heal that root before we're able to move on into something else. So here are ways that you can protect your foundation once you have repaired it. I'm going to go deeper into this topic a little bit later on down the line, because I know that there are some other very important aspects to this journey within itself. So let's talk about protecting yourself, protecting your foundation, protecting your center, protecting your core once you have gone through those necessary steps to repair it. All right. You have to guard it. What this looks like is setting boundaries. Understand it is okay to say no. It is okay to tell someone, I'm just simply not able to do this for you. You have a right to stand up for yourself. You have a right to speak for yourself. You have a right to address any type of situation that makes you feel uncomfortable. Don't let it slide. Set those clear and healthy boundaries and stand firm on those boundaries. Never waver, never change up. Now, On the flip side, it makes it a little bit harder to set those boundaries, especially if we're dealing with, say, toxic family members, toxic relationships. It's very much so easier said than done. But as long as you are willing to begin the work, you will actually be there faster than what you even realize, because it works. You can definitely do it. So the other thing too, the other way that you protect yourself is to say no. Like how I mentioned a few minutes ago, say no to any type of situation, person, place, thing, opportunity that will pull you out of alignment. A strong foundation is only strong if you protect it. Otherwise, you'll spend your life patching cracks instead of building higher. Okay. So, like I mentioned, these examples pretty much outline how your foundation can quickly become a sinkhole. The good news is this, right? There's always good news, especially with Root and Rise. Your personal sinkhole, your center, who you are as an individual, is absolutely repairable as long as you are willing to commit to the work that it takes to fill all of those cracks one by one. Like I also mentioned earlier, it starts with self-awareness, okay? Truly understanding who you are, how you identify, how you show up, and where your particular wounds began. That's the core of it. And here is something else that a lot of us, many of us forget, including myself. I'm not excluded. I'm not exempt from it at all. Your inner child, he or she is still there. That younger version of you is still waiting, but that person is still hopeful. They are still, however, carrying the pieces of the story. So healing means turning inward. Healing means embracing your younger self and saying you are safe. No one will ever hurt you again. Mean that. That right there is the key to repairing the foundation. That is how you root deeper. That is how you rise higher. And remember, always, always remember, you are stronger than every crack and worthy of every single rise. Know that. But before I end this, I have a quick, is it mantra or mantra? Forgive me. I struggle with that word. But this is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so here we are. This is the root. I acknowledge the cracks in my foundation and choose to face them with courage. And this is the rise, okay? With each repair, I grow stronger, building a life that no storm or sinkhole can ever take away, all right? Be sure to like, share, and of course, subscribe and rise with me. I am available on all platforms. Root and Rise on Instagram, Root and Rise on Facebook, and Root and Rise on TikTok as well. Root and Rise with Erica. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to speaking with you again next week, and take care.